Welcome to Resting Tism Face, a pop culture podcast where your host Todd Kinsella gives you what's geek this week. And while you're here, let's talk about being neurospacey, whether that be ADHD, autistic, or both. Which, spoiler alert, I am.
Yes. Hi, everybody. This is Todd. This is episode 8. I'm recording on August 24th, 2026. Typically, I like to record a few days before I post. So I think I just got busy and forgot. So I'm recording today. I'm going to post later tonight or early tomorrow. And as you can see, I'm still using that VTuber thing. I actually think I like this a lot. Yeah, I really do. Let's see here. Let me move this window over here. Got everything over here. Got the comments. So I am streaming just on Facebook today. And if you want to see the live streams, I think going forward I'm just going to go ahead and just do Facebook, because the setup that I was using to do multiple platforms decided it didn't want to work for me anymore. So if you want to watch the live streams, you got to go over to facebook.com/restingtismbase and follow me there. Yeah, so and then you can get notifications of when I go live, and everything else is also there. As far as I usually post, I don't know. I usually post things that I talk about on that page. So go ahead and give that a follow. This is here. I got 2 people watching, so that's probably me and probably Shannon. Which is great, because at least I have at least 2 people watching. Hi, Shannon. So I have a bunch of things to talk about. Let's go ahead and pull up the stuff here. There we go. That's the Facebook page right there. Gotta go follow that stuff right there. Okay. Get over to the other browser. Here we go. And so I saw this. I was like, what are they even talking about? So it says here, this is on comicbook.com. Someone turned the Force into a vintage Kenner action figure, and it's hilarious. I mean, I opened this up and I scrolled down and saw the image, and it's, well, here, let me show you. Those of you watching the video either here on Facebook or on the Substack or the YouTube channel, you'll see this image here. Look at that. It's the original, it's the old school like action figure bubble pack or whatever they call it, where it's a card with like the action figure inside of a plastic bubble, and it looks like that old style packaging. And instead of like the character name, it just says The Force, and it's a blue package with like blue space behind it, and the part where usually has the action figure is got a blue like a baby blue background, and it's empty. I think it's hilarious. All right, let's see here. Oh shit, that was loud. I'm sorry. All right, turn that down a little bit. God, why is that so damn loud? All right, I don't know. I apologize. I didn't realize it was that fucking loud. But yeah, let's see some other photos here of the Force. That's hilarious. I would absolutely buy one of these if they weren't too terribly expensive. But this is what the article says. Kenner is the gold standard for vintage Star Wars toys. The manufacturer released its first wave of action figures barely a year after Star Wars came out. Yeah, I mean, they didn't have the manufacturers who made the toys did not have enough made for the release of the movie. So I remember actually getting this. We got packaging that was empty that says, we promise that we're going to be sending you these action figures in the mail in the next, I think it was the next 6, 7 months. Uh, it says, eventually expanding into vehicles and playsets. In fact, Kenner did everything to leverage the licensing deal with Lucasfilm, putting out relatively strange toys like a projector and an AM radio disguised to look like Luke Skywalker's headset. For that one seen in the Millennium Falcon. Uh, Today, some of those toys go for massive prices in collectors' markets, especially if they include the discounted or discontinued features like double telescoping lightsabers and vinyl clothes deter that the vinyl clothes that deteriorate over time. If not, even a sealed toy in decent condition could get you a few $100s. Yeah, I remember finding out about collecting when I was a kid and thinking, okay, I need to get doubles. I need to get one that I can stash away for the next 30 years, and then I need one that I can play with. And I tried telling my mom about this, and she was like, there's no way I'm buying you doubles of all your toys. If you want the other toy, you can spend your own allowance money on buying a duplicate. And I never did because, well, I figured it was the parents' job to do that stuff. So, but yeah, I think this is hilarious. It looks like the original Star Wars packaging for toys, except for there's nothing in the bubble. That's hilarious, and it's the Force. That is so funny to me. I don't know. Maybe it. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. Um, that's funny. That really is. All right, let's go over to the next. Let's see. Hold up. Did I? What notifications do I got here? Oh, it's cross posted. Sweet. All right. After nearly 3 decades, this comic book movie one-liner might still be the funniest quote in any superhero film. It seems almost hard to believe, but it's been nearly 3 decades since Marvel Comics' first successful superhero movie in hit theaters. After a few missteps with the title like Howard the Duck, The Punisher, Captain America, and the Fantastic Four, the first Marvel hero that hit it big in movies was a horror character. It was 28 years ago that New Line Cinema released the Marvel comic book movie Blade. The, while most fans didn't read the comics and had no idea it was based on a superhero, the film opened the door for studios to take more chances on Marvel movies in the next few years as the X-Men and Spider-Man movies arrived next. Blade hit theaters August 21st. That was a few days ago, 30 years. A few days and 30 years ago. 1998, and the movie contained one of the funniest lines that ever appeared in a superhero release. The Blade has one of superhero movies' most ludicrous lines. In Blade, Wesley Snipes plays Eric Brooks, a daywalker who hunts vampires. Known as Blade, Eric is a Dampier. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm probably not doing it right. Either way, part vampire, and thanks to his mother being attacked uh, and killed by a vampire while pregnant. Meanwhile, Blade is born with many of the supernatural abilities of a vampire, but the ability to walk in the daylight without the need to feed on humans to survive. Instead, surviving on a special substitute while the movie opened with its mother his mother being attacked, the movie moves to present day where Blade has been hunting vampires for years. The ending of Blade saw the Daywalker slaughtering all vampires on his way to finding Deacon Frost, played by Stephen Dorff. And an upstart vampire who wants to conquer the human race. Frost had brought Blade's mother back as a vampire, and in the cinematic scene, Blade kills all of Frost's demons, including Blade's own mother, before he finally confronts Frost outside on a ledge. Frost has been too overpowered for Blade to defeat, and he realizes there's only one chance to bring down the vampire. Blade has EDTA, an anticoagulant that explodes when combined with vampire blood. This leads to one of the most ridiculous yet hilarious moments in the entire movie. Frost and Blade face off from a distance, and just when it looks like Frost has the advantage, Blade drops the line where that fans were repeating ad nauseum for the movies after the movie's release, even though it made little sense in the context of the film's story. Blade looked at Frost and said, "Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill." I don't remember that line, but that doesn't surprise me as it being a line from the movie because he always did have some really funny one-liners. Blade then throws the needle of the EDTA into the air and then spin kicks it so it flies into Frost's forehead. This then causes the frost to expand into a grotesque blob and explode. It's like there's a video. I'm not going to play the video. Like I say in most episodes of the podcast, if you want to see these and you're not watching the video, I will have all the links to the stories I'm talking about in the show notes or in the description of the video if you want to check out the articles yourself. Um, let's see here. Some motherfuckers always trying to skate uphill. Ice skate uphill. I need to rewatch this movie clearly. Okay. Um, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right. This one, I keep in mind, folks. When I grabbed these stories, I did not actually read the stories. I just grabbed them because of the title of the article. I figured it'd be good for reading on the podcast. And that's usually what I do. I don't ever pre-read it, although I probably should, right? Just so I have an idea what it's talking about. That way, I don't have those ADHD moments when my brain goes stop reading, middle sentence kind of thing, and like brain freeze or whatever. Um, so National Treasure 3 gets exciting update as casting takes a page from Brendan Fraser's Mummy revival. National Treasure fans, it's your moment, or hopefully the first of many moments, as more exciting news about the third installment in the franchise finally becomes public. And director John Turtelbaum, I'm probably butchering his name, I apologize, isn't holding anything back, opening up as much as he can without getting into trouble with the mouse. Obviously, right? Spilling a few key details on what fans can expect after the drought between films and the ending of the short lived TV series, which I actually kind of enjoyed. I don't know, maybe people didn't like it because it didn't have Nick Cage in it. I liked it. I should probably rewatch that too. Um, so what exactly can we look forward to? Firstly, the fact that the third installment is happening at all. Speaking with the National Treasure Hunt podcast, the director was excited to break the news, saying, "It's happening. You're the first people I have said this to out loud." And while the fact that the movie is being made at all is definitely exciting, what's even more exciting is that Nicolas Cage is definitely coming back to reprise his role. The director is that Nicholas Cage is definitely coming back to reprise his role, and is the director is hopeful that the rest of the former cast members will sign on for the project, much like the original cast of The Mummy for the upcoming fourth film. This is a looks like it's a tweet. Nicholas Cage is officially returning to National Treasure 3. Director John Turteltaub says the sequel has now a script and both he and Disney are happy with. It's finally real. He also says the goal is to bring back as much of the original cast as possible. I mean, I'm excited. I like those movies. That's those movies were like the best we got as far as like closest we're ever gonna get to a comparable to Indiana Jones. I liked them because it reminded me of the first three Indiana Jones movies. I liked both National Treasure and Book of Secrets. Both are great movies. I like them both. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I truly enjoy those movies. Um, let's see here. Just slow down a little bit. So it says here, so with the finished script that has been Disney approved and the return of the film's biggest star, it seems that the sky is the limit for this long-awaited threequel. With the hope that uh, Diane Kruger, who played Abigail Chase, and Justin Bartha, who played Riley Poole, will also return to reprise their roles. I would imagine Justin will come back because he was, spoiler alert, he was in a couple of the episodes of the TV series that's on Disney Plus. Um, so, will also return to reprise their roles. Hopefully they will. Speaking on the intricacies of bringing the film to life, the director said, "It's finally real. Now it's Hollywood real, meaning that things can happen. Gets hit by a bus. There's no, and there's no, oh God, things can happen. Nick Cage hit by a bus. There's no national treasure. If I get hit by a bus, there's probably a national treasure. What? I don't understand that line. I'm okay, whatever. I'm skipping that. I don't want to have to. I'm not hyper focusing on that because it's not. I don't get it. The internet is already popping off at the news, and fans are thrilled. Honestly, National Treasure, alongside Brendan Fraser's Mummy movies, are more than modern takes on classic Indiana Jones. Exactly. Oh my God, I was so like I'm not the only one that thought that. That's amazing. Yes, the Mummy movies are also very much in that same vein. I agree. In fact, it would be amazing. Well, they're not the same company, so that's probably not going to be a thing. I would think it'd be great if they had a crossover between the two. Uh, for those that don't remember, the original National Treasure released in 2004 centered around Ben Gates, played by Nick Cage, a historian on a lifelong search for a treasure that predates the United States, betrayed by his friend when they discover the secret to finding the treasure lies in the Declaration of Independence. A race begins to get to the document and the treasure first. It's wacky, it's campy, it's long deserved a third movie. Yeah, agreed. They should have done this like 10, 15 years ago, honestly. But I guess if you don't have a good script, there's no reason to and that should be said for most any movies. If you don't have a good script, don't do it. Even if you think, "Oh, this might work." No, if you only do it if you know for sure that it's going to work. Cuz let's be honest, that last Indiana Jones movie, there's a reason why Spielberg decided he didn't want to direct it, you know? He and that should have been the first red fucking flag for the Dial of Destiny. The fact that Spielberg was like, "Nah, I think I'm good. I don't really need to do this movie. You guys can do this without me, right? I'll be the executive producer, but I ain't directing it." And I think that should have been a red flag how good that movie was going to be. Because let's be honest, I was really excited for another Indiana Jones, but I was expecting a bit more or a lot better than what we got with that one. I didn't I didn't I didn't hate it, but I thought it could have been so much better. Why? Oh, wow. Yeah, there we go. Let's go on to the next story. Let's open this up here. Another new MCU star rumored for Secret Wars, and Marvel fans are all saying one thing. I don't know what this is about, but I hope it's good news. As Marvel Studios revs up the Avengers Doomsday marketing machine, they're also setting the stage for what comes next in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This summer, Kevin Feige and company have spent a lot of time detailing the post multiverse saga future, confirming a full slate of 3 films for 2028. That year will see the release of the highly anticipated X Men reboot, Ghost Rider starring Ryan Gosling, and Ryan Coogler's Black Panther 3. It'll be a couple of years before these characters take center stage in solo projects, but rumors suggest that some of them could pop up in Avengers Secret Wars first. Now, other MCU newcomer could be in the cards. On the latest episode of the podcast, The Hot Mic, industry insider Jeff Snyder, I think it's Snyder, Sneider, shared that he's been told that Indy, uh, Indy, Inde, Navarrete, I think that's probably the actress playing it, is going to be in Secret Wars, meaning the Obsession star could make her MCU debut as Rogue in next winter's major crossover event. Unsurprisingly, Marvel fans have been buzzing about this on social media, hoping it means a spectacular storyline from the comics is about to come to the big screen. I mean, I know a lot of people who love the character Rogue, and I don't hate her, but she's not my favorite. I know I am okay with whatever they end up doing with her. I always thought her character was weird. She has like super strength. She can fly. Um, and and from what I remember from watching the '90s X Men series, they have like her backstory is that she had a how do I put this? She had an encounter with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. They didn't call her Captain Marvel in that series though, but or maybe they did, and I just don't remember. Either way, she like I guess this is when she was still figuring out her powers. She touched or held on to Carol Danvers and like sucked out all of her power. Like she basically put Carol in a coma, and like then she was able to fly and she had super strength. But her original like mutant power is basically just draining people's energy, and she's kind of like a leech actually. In that respect, I think. But yeah, I can totally see this woman playing Rogue. I think I I I haven't seen Obsession, so I don't know anything about that. I know it's a new movie. I talked about it with some friends recently, and they were saying it's really good. You should check it out. I was like, oh, cool. And it's like it's a horror film. I was like, maybe I won't, because I don't typically watch horror films in theaters. I my brain is very active, has a very active imagination. So when I watch things like that in theaters, it tends to kind of like dominate my thought processes for a while. So I try not to watch those in theaters because If I watch it at home or watch it not in a theater where I can pause it or skip scenes that I don't necessarily want to see. Yeah, I do that because my brain, I will have dreams about that shit for weeks. I don't want to do that. All right, let's see here. Do, 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 do. All right. Next story on the list of things to talk about today. Star Wars thrilling, not trilling, thrilling. I can read, and yeah, I can read. Star Wars thrilling. The trailer proves it's time to recast the OT heroes, original trilogy heroes. I think is what that stands for, and fast. This is also on comic. All these stories have been on comicbook.com. I got them off of my Feedly list, and these were all like, oh, these are good stories. I want to talk about these. As more and more Star Wars projects come out each year, one thing that seems to be untouchable is the casting of the heroes from the original trilogy. Yeah, I think they want to hold on to onto those likenesses. And if they have, and if they recast, that means they have to like redo like licensing and shit. I bet you that's what it is. I bet. It says here that's understandable to most longtime fans, as Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford are so iconic and beloved. They're all pop culture staples who help define what Star Wars is and what it means to be, what it means for so many people. So seeing anyone else step into their shoes could feel odd. The three legendary actors were brought back for Disney's sequel trilogy, and it made sense because they were all appropriate age to portray their characters as elders, ushering in the next generation. However, the deeper the franchise gets into showing what happened between the original trilogy and the newer films, the more Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and Han Solo might appear. So it's about time Star Wars should consider recasting them. You know what? Honestly, that's not a bad idea. I think, I know a lot of people didn't like Solo. I liked Solo. I thought that guy did a good job playing Han, and I would be okay with seeing him play him again in other movies. And people have been campaigning to get Sebastian Stan to play Luke Skywalker because he looks like he could be like Mark Hamill's kid. Although I think Sebastian might be a little too old to be Mark's kid. But yeah, you get what I mean, right? Um, so I would be okay with other people playing those parts. In fact, if nothing else, um, we should get those two actors playing those parts, and then we should get uh, Carrie Fisher's daughter, and I can't remember her name right now. I apologize. Her to play young Leia, because she was the body double for Leia in like the flashback sequence in one of the sequel movies, where you see Leia and Luke sparring. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch just to have her play Leia Organa. In fact, I think she was also the body double for Rogue One, and then they digitally put her mom's face on her. But I think she could easily just play Leia without any kind of digital augmentation. But that's me. I don't know. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Next story. Oh, I'm gonna do this one first. I'm gonna do this one first because I just watched episode 2 last night. If you guys haven't been watching Lanterns on HBO Max, I recommend checking it out. It's it's less a superhero show than it is like a cop show, like a buddy cop show. Although they're not really buddies. So I mean, think of like any duo of two cops. You know, one is older than the other, so it's kind of like actually um shit. Of course, my brain. I immediately thought of a series of movies that are very similar to what I was just going to suggest. Beverly Hills Cop. That's the word I was looking for. It reminds me of Beverly Hills Cop in that Hal Jordan is like the senior Lantern, and John Stewart is the newbie, the poozer as they would call him in the comics, and basically new guy, or you know, whatever. I hope we get to see some like other characters in the Green Lantern universe, like Kilowog. I want to see him live action. I really do. But where was I going with this? So, anyways, the show is less about him being a lantern than it is him investigating something that happened. I don't want to give anything away. Something happened, and of course, he's the lantern for Earth in this sector of the universe, and he's investigating a thing where he thinks it's involving extraterrestrials. And of course, the local cops are like, "Nah, that was just a crackhead." Blah 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 blah. It's not the words he actually used. I'm just using filler words. And but the interaction between Hal and John feels like Eddie Murphy and uh and God, what's his name? The older cop, the Beverly Hills cop. Eddie's character is from Chicago. He goes to L.A. and the old guy is just gruff and just like all the time. And that's how Hal is in the show. He's kind of like a grumpy old fart. Although he's not that old. He's probably, I don't know. He doesn't look that old to me. He's probably supposed to be like in his 60s or something, or mid to late 50s. But yeah, and John Stewart's character is very much like in his like late 20s, early 30s, and he's a veteran, so he's yes sir, no ma'am, that kind of stuff, you know. And so in season in the it's only had 2 episodes so far, and maybe I shouldn't read this article if you haven't watched it yet. I mean, you can see on screen if you're watching the video. Uh, they're speculating that characters on the show, which have only been 2 episodes in, might be manhunters. And I was watching episode 2 last night with my roommate Shannon, and we're like, I think this person might be the manhunter, but could also be that person. And she's like, yeah, I believe it's that person. I was like, okay, I can see that. But so like I said, only 2 episodes in, we discover in episode 2 that the manhunters are definitely a thing in this series. So you know what? I don't think I'm gonna read this article just because I don't want to like ruin any of the first 2 episodes for you guys. So if you haven't watched it yet, definitely check it out. The very least, what I tell people if they don't want to get like HBO Max, see if you can get like a trial or pay for a single month. Pay for a month and then cancel your subscription. That way it doesn't renew. But you should have access to it for that period that you paid for. So pay for a month. You'll be able to get uh you know at least the first handful of episodes, because I think the show is going to have between 8 and 10 episodes. So you may have to pay for 2 months if you want to watch the entire series. So, I mean, there's also the Bay of Pirates too, if you definitely want to watch it without having to pay money. So, but I don't recommend that. Wink, wink. Um, all right, so let's go on to the next story. DC's Jimmy Olsen show confirms full title and even more Superman stars that will appear. I didn't even know that Jimmy Olsen was going to be a TV series. I knew that we were getting Lanterns, and I think uh, the animated uh, the animated Superman series that's over on Adult Swim is the other show I was aware of. I was not aware of this. If it's an if it's a live action series, it's probably going to have the guy who played Jimmy in the most recent Superman movie. I think. I don't know. Let's read it. Find out. When James Gunn and Peter Safran made their initial announcement about the brand new DC Universe, it came with a slew of movie and TV projects that will tell a variety of unique stories. As fans know, in a handful of those made it out into the world, like Superman, Supergirl, Lanterns, and others, uh, like The Authority, Booster Gold, and Paradise Lost, have either been stuck in development or seemingly scrapped. Uh, in the years since that announcement, though, DCU has delivered a few surprises, greenlighting projects that weren't part of the initial wave. This October, we will see the release of Clayface, a new body horror movie about the Batman villain. Uh, but now HBO Max has fully confirmed details of another one of those projects, though initially reports called it DC Crime, something Gunn disputed. A spin off series about Skylar uh, Gizondo's Jimmy Olsen. I am sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. Has fully revealed by the streamer, who have confirmed the show will be titled The People versus Gorilla Grodd. Oh, dude, we're gonna get another live action Gorilla Grodd. The last time we had a live action Gorilla Grodd was on the CW's The Flash, and that version of Grodd was fucking awesome. he was he was massive, and he was yeah. You know, where's it? Hold up. I where is it? Sorry folks, I'm having mouse difficulties. I think it's no, that's it. That's what I was looking for. All right. I have enough playing with that. All right. So so yeah, I'm cool. It says here this a spin-off series about following the mold of the American Vandal, with showrunner Tony Yakenda and Dan Peralt working on the series and acting as a parody of true crime documentaries. Oh, really? I'm not a fan of the parody reality shows. I didn't like The Office. I didn't like any other show like it. So I'm probably not gonna like this. That's disappointing. Assuming that's the way they're gonna go with it. If they do like a parody mockumentary type thing, and as long as they don't do like the confessional interviews, like so blah 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 blah, I thought it was okay if I did that. Those are always so forced to me. They so fake, and I don't like it. It's one of the reasons why I really tried to like The Office, because everyone loves The Office. I even tried watching the original British version, and I just couldn't get past Ricky Gervais. I know he's one of those comedian actor types that I just don't get why people like him. You know. Let's see here. Let me check the other chat boxes to see if there's anybody talking to me that I just don't see for whatever reason. Check my notifications. All right. No, nothing about the live stream. Let's do this. I should just share the stream over on. I shared a link on my profile here for people to come and hop in the chat with me, so I can see people talking to me and stuff. And you know what? It's okay. It's fine. I don't need to have communication with people while I'm doing the live stream. I like I like having conversations about these things with people, and sometimes when I do the podcast, it feels a little one-sided. I feel kind of weird talking out loud about things as if I'm talking to somebody and not getting any kind of feedback. So yeah, and that's part of the reason why I haven't done many live streams when it comes to this podcast, because I did live streams with every other show for the last couple of years that I did, and those ones didn't typically get a lot of viewers. At least not during the live stream itself. Usually they got a lot more views after the fact. And yeah. Also, if you are enjoying the podcast, you like the show, please consider sharing this with your friends, telling them to check it out. Say, hey, if you like pop culture and you're a little bit on the spectrum, or you understand how the neurodivergent brain works, or most of them anyway, you should check out tismface.rest or resting tismface on social media, and follow. And yeah, if you go to tismface.rest, that is the website that gives you the links to all the important stuff in regards to this podcast. It is the link tree, so it has links to all the socials. It has links to where typically I would do live streams. I have been doing live streams on Twitch and YouTube, um, but because I I'm having issues with Stream Elements, which allowed me to stream to multiple platforms. This one is only on Facebook, and you know what, I know, I'm sorry. Um, and In future ones, I'm gonna try to fix the thing with Streamlabs, or not Stream Elements rather, not Streamlabs. Streamlabs costs money. Stream Elements is mostly free, which is nice. Let's see here. I got a song stuck in my head. Speaking of tisms, do you guys get like songs stuck in your head, like to the point of like you need to listen to something else to get rid of it? Uh, my brain has been hyper focusing on like whatever the last song I listened to. Like like right now, what my brain is like playing on a loop is the opening theme music for the podcast. I'll listen to something else and that will get stuck in my head for until I play something else. Anybody else have that issue? Me? Just me? Okay, cool. Um No, I'm kidding. Where was I? Oh, yes. The People versus Gorilla Grodd. Did it say anything as far as like when it's coming out? Let's scroll down. Mm-hmm. Um, it doesn't look like it has a release date, not that I'm seeing anyhow. And of course, my brain is like on super fucking fast forward right now. Everything is like, unless I stop and reread it like 4 times, I'm not going to retain anything. Like, that's one of the things I hate the most about my ADHD is I will read something and then immediately forget what I just read. Like immediately. Let's see. It says here HBO Max and DC Studios have confirmed 8 episodes straight to series for the People versus Gorilla Grodd, which will not only bring back Skylar uh, Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen, uh, it will feature Jimmy Tatro as Gorilla Grodd. I don't know Jimmy Tatro. That's not a familiar name for me. In addition to 3 more Superman stars are confirmed to reprise their roles, including Beck Bennett as Steve Lombard and Michaela Hoover as Cat Grant and Wendell Pierce as Perry White. The the official pilot description for the show not only makes it clear that the series will be a laugh riot for the DCU, but it will also have major implications for the larger timeline of the franchise. Oh, that's cool. You know what? I would have really liked if the characters and the actors from the CW DC universe were brought into the DCU. I do know that Grant Gustin really is pushing to be the DCU's version of the Flash. I'm wholeheartedly in for that. Please make that happen because Grant Gustin was amazing as the Flash and Barry. And yeah, so yeah. Mm, mm, mm. Reading through, trying to read through these without like skipping anything. Uh, Gorilla. Okay, as DC readers know, Gorilla Grodd killing his father was essential to the character's new origins when the larger continuity rebooted in the New 52. I don't know. I've heard a few people say they did not care for the New 52 reboot of the entire DC comics. They changed origin stories for key like the, the the top three in the DC universe, you know, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They changed their origins in the New 52, and I think a lot of people hated that. So then they did another reboot of like a year or two later, and they kind of all right, we're gonna shift back a few things, but we want to keep this one, and this one, at least those parts. But we'll roll back to the original origins of these characters. I was like, all right, yeah, that's better than like saying, you know, deal with it. So, um, let's see here. Scrolling. All right, one more story, and I think we're done for the day. 40 years ago, this Stephen King adaptation proved he was more than the king of horror. And you know, I think I was aware that this story was a Stephen King story, but I don't know if I knew back when the movie came out 40 years ago. It's been 40 years since the best Stephen King adaptations, the best of the Stephen King adaptations was released, and for the longest time, many non readers had no idea it was based on a King story. In 1986, most movie fans knew King from the horror movies based on his novels Carrie, The Shining, Cujo, The Dead Zone, Christine, Children of the Corn, and Firestarter. I didn't know Children of the Corn was his or Firestarter, but that's cool. Um, Kept horror fans in an era anxiously awaiting his next release on the big screen. However, in 1986, a King movie hit theaters that was not only not horror, it also didn't share the same title as King's work, which wasn't a novel, but a novella. Many fans still have no idea it is even based on a King story. On August 22nd, 1986, Stand By Me hit theaters. The movie, directed by Rob Reiner, was based on King's novella called The Body. See, I kind of knew this, but only because I've been watching a lot of like interviews with Will Wheaton in the last couple of years. He's one of my favorite people to follow on social media. I even subscribe to his podcast where he reads clips from uh, audiobooks he's recorded. So, and he said in his interview that each of the actors that played the four boys were chosen because they were the most like the characters they were gonna play. Like Gordy was like an anxious, you know, kid with some issues at home, and God, I can't remember Jerry O'Connell's character name, but Jerry O'Connell's character was, you know, was kind of the 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 pudgy comic relief, you know, the, the fat best friend. And you know what's really amazing? Good for him for doing this, but he at some point in his life really got into fitness and lost all of that weight, and he became, you know, a leading man type, you know. Um, and he is now married to Rebecca Romaine. So if that says anything about him as a person, I mean, never mind how good looking the guy is. He's a very good looking dude. Um, but I think him being a what's the words I'm looking for? A conventionally good looking guy. He is not. He's not a. He looks like he could be like a frat guy when he was in his 20s and 30s. He could have been like a frat guy in a movie, and in fact, I think he was in a couple movies like that. He could play like a lawyer type, I think. He has those kind of good looks. And Corey Feldman, uh, his character was basically the same as Corey was. And he was just chaos and just always trying to be the center of attention and trying to make people laugh and being kind of a jerk to the other guys. Because Will, like, I don't have any ill feelings towards Corey, but he was not nice to me when we were kids. He was kind of a jerk to me, actually, and he talks about this in his book, Still a Geek, and um and every interview I've seen of Corey Feldman, he strikes me as um he is he's he's got a bit of a narcissism in him, I think. You kind of have to, I think, in order to be like a an actor in Hollywood. You have to have a healthy dose of narcissism. But he also has some mental health issues from trauma growing up, and he talks about that. He did a documentary a few years back about uh, uh, him being essayed, and him and the other Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were in a lot of movies together in the 80s and early 90s, and both of them had substance abuse problems and whatnot. And of course, River Phoenix. River Phoenix also kind of was similar to his character, and you know, I don't remember exactly what they said about River, but I remember the news talking about his passing, how he died. He had he was at a nightclub in Hollywood with a bunch of friends, and I guess he did a combination of drugs that gave him a heart attack or something. Something happened to him at the club where he collapsed and he OD'd. And it was such a sad thing because I figured River Phoenix is going to be like this leading man in every movie he's in, and we're going to see him in all these great films in the future. And I think he was probably in his mid to late 20s when he died. And, I remember interviews with his younger brother, Joaquin, being on TV. Back then, I think he was still going by Leaf. His, his stage name for a long time was Leaf Phoenix. But he decided at some point to go by his actual birth name, which is Joaquin. But yeah, no, this is absolutely one of my favorite Rob Reiner films, and definitely a favorite of my a favorite of all these guys, all these actors. I like them in other things, and Will has done other things that are great. Of course, Star Trek, and Jerry O'Connell was in Sliders, which is a great sci-fi show. I believe Sliders is available either on Tubi or one of the other free streaming sites. If you have never seen Sliders, it's basically this kid who's like a science nerd um, is trying to build a device that allows him to do a thing. But he accidentally opens a wormhole to an alternate universe, and he has some friends come over because he wants to show them this thing that he created. And when he opens the wormhole, they all get sucked in, and then they get. That's basically similar concept to um, uh, oh shit, of course, brain. So basically, going from one universe to another, and each universe is a little different, and I think they went for 5 or 7 seasons, and I don't think they ever make it back. Oh wait, no, they did make it back, but they thought it wasn't the right universe, and so they they opened the wormhole thing again and left. But they did make it home eventually, but they didn't realize they were home. And that show needs to be rebooted. It needs to come back. I would love to see Jerry O'Connell come back playing Quinn Mallory again, and the other actors I think are all still alive. I think we should all collectively, if you liked the original Sliders, like do an do a hashtag campaign to bring back Sliders or do a new version of Sliders. Um, so yeah, you know what, I think that is it for today. I will be posting this episode on the normal podcast feed later tonight or early tomorrow, and so if you want to download the episode and listen to it again, or just have it playing in the background while you're doing dishes or playing a video game, that's cool too. In fact, that's usually what I do when I'm listening to a podcast. I'm usually doing something else and listening to the show while I'm doing some sort of chores or playing a game or something. So, all right, guys, it's been another fun episode of Resting Tism Face. Again, if you like the podcast, please subscribe to the show through your favorite podcasting app and over on the social medias. Go to Resting Tism Face on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All those links are available on tismface.rest. So you can just click on them and go to them. And I will talk to you guys next time.